was a domino effect where I was supposed to only have one surgery, led to two, led to three. But I told them a year, I'm a man of integrity.
Yeah.
I don't want to quit my job.
Yeah.
But I was working, at that time, it was probably 16, 17-hour days, not sleeping.
Yeah. Wow. That's so interesting that once you say it out loud,
Yeah.
you were able to piece it all together and like.
Ruslan.
Because when we're hanging out initially, we're talking about music.
Yep.
So there's something in you that has this entrepreneurial, creative
100%.
spark. How did you end up wanting to be a surgeon?
Yeah. I think for me, when I look back at it now that I'm like out of that mindset and out of that field, one of the things that attracted me to medicine was the safety in it. I was like, man, I want something secure.
Come on.
I want something that's safe. I want something that, will provide my family with a good background. Taking risks was something that I always tried to steer away from. And so I was like, okay, what can I do that's safe and secure that, I have a high likelihood of staying at this career and in this place for a long time where I could still grow. And so that's where I was drawn to medicine. For me, I have a basketball background. Played basketball in high school. Actually, I played against Kawhi Leonard my freshman year of high school, which was cool.
Okay.
But my senior year of high school, I ended up having 4 foot surgeries.
Oof.
4 foot surgeries.
Which is probably career ending at that point.
Career ending.
Yeah.
I was 17 years old, sitting in front of my doctor at the time, and he told me, Trent, you'll never be able to run again in your life. And that was devistating for me.
Yeah.
So going through that process.
Did you just roll your ankle or what happened? I'm sorry.
So pretty much I rolled my ankle and I had 2 floating bones in the back of my heel, like a super rare. It's called os trigonum syndrome.
Ouch.
Like 5% of people in the world have it. Just one of those rare, weird things. And so it was a domino effect where I was supposed to only have one surgery, led to 2, led to 3, led to the other foot being an issue, led to these surgeries should work, to me having worse pain before the surgeries even occurred, right? And so I was left with these surgeries at 17 years old, not being able to play basketball anymore, empty. My dream, everything I wanted to do was wrapped up in basketball.
You think you were gonna, because you're a pretty tall guy, right?
Yeah.
So you got some good genetics going for you.
Yeah.
How far do you think you could have really taken it with basketball?
I was looking to go Division 1.
D1. So you could have went D1.
Yes.
Wow.
I definitely could have gone D1 at that time, as I was playing the point guard. I had some size too. I was still lifting at that time. So
because how tall are you? Like 6'1".
6'1".
So 6'1" point guard.
Yeah.
That's, you could have potentially went to the league just on those statistics alone.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was able to dunk, so I definitely was athletic, but one thing led to another, and I had to give up basketball.
Yeah. Was there an element of like the type of family you come from kind of wanting that stability for you as well?
Yeah. One of the things that happened when I was younger throughout the 2008 recession, my family did really well. My dad did really well. We got everything stripped from us. We got our house stripped from us.
Oh, man.
My dad lost his job. My parents got divorced. And so my entire family broke throughout the 2008 recession.
Wow.
So for me, going into high school, and I'm the oldest siblings out of 3. And so I had to be the rock for my mom. I had to man up at the time. I was in 7th grade. I think I was 13 years old. And so I had to be pretty much the big brother. I had to be a support system for my mom, who struggled to pay the bills after we were super financially well off. And so going into high school, I was like, I never want my family to ever deal with something like that again. So what is a career that can help me provide that stability, provide that security for my future family?
Wow.
And so it took a lot of healing, kind of looking back, to be like, man, what even led me to this position in the first place? And like you said, I have a creative spirit. Like my heart is to create. My heart is to be in leadership. And so that's why I always knew that something was missing, even though it was in such a great field and a great career.
Yeah. Wow. That's so interesting that once you say it out loud, you were able to piece it all together and like. I don't want to say it was a scarcity mindset, but it kind of was like, I want stability, protection. I want to be risk averse because risk got, disrupted my family. And so then you go after this very safe career, which you were still passionate about, but then ended up, yearning for more. Hey, you may not know I make music, but I have a brand new song that just came out. Here's a quick preview.
I went from being being a porn addict to sharing the gospel with a porn actress who was criticized for being low status by the same OnlyFans who treat us so lavish. I'm confused.
I swear y'all thought he did doing podcasts, hot takes. He still can rap.
Now, this is my first song that I've released in over a year, so I need you to go to Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you consume music and stream Too Soon right now. Add it to your favorite playlist, share it with a friend. So hit the link in the description or go to RuslanToTheMoon.com to stream Too Soon now. I'll see you over there.
Ooh, ooh. Oh, they got me with the dramatics. You know?
And so I just think of a lot of people. I was listening to this CoffeeZilla Lex podcast, and they talked about the ability to dream is the ability to stare at the odds and to say, like, I'm going to go after this anyway.
Yeah.
Right? And so, like, you're looking at this entire thing and you're like, I'm still going to do something creative. Statistically speaking, there's only but so many influencers. There's only but so many fitness professionals. There's only, right? Making it on YouTube, making it on TikTok, making it on these, like, the odds are so against you.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you just put one foot in front of the other. You just kept going. And then when was the moment where you're like, dude, my fitness income has surpassed my doctor income?
Yeah, totally. And I think for me, like, I was like, it's too late. I'm too busy. I had all these reasons why, like, I couldn't go all in. And so that's why I always had one foot in both avenues.
Yeah.
I could have quit my job and completely given up my career like months before I did. But I wanted to hold on to both. I wanted that stability.
Yeah.
I wanted that security. What's going to happen a year from now? 2 years from now? I had my parents throwing, doubt in my head. Are you sure this is what you want to do? You went to school for 8 years. you took out $250,000 of student loans. You're going to give that up for this? For Instagram, right? And so I had all these people just throwing little doubts at me. Like, my parents believed in me. But, they still were, are you sure? Are you sure?
Because they just want what's best for their kid.
Exactly. They were going to support me either way. But at the same time, they're like, you got to really think hard about this decision. You spent 8 years. And most people spending that much time into going to school for something and that much money, that's a very difficult decision to make. So for me, like I said, I reached about 50 to 60 clients. I was making good money, probably about the same that I was making at my job. But really the defining moment was actually I had a full-blown anxiety attack from the being overworked for so long.
Wow.
That was the breaking moment for me. Because obviously something has to break eventually. And the thing that broke for me was myself. It was myself and my marriage at the time.
Wow.
Actually, I was still providing the service to my clients. I was still showing up to my job. But I was working, at that time, it was probably 16, 17-hour days, not sleeping. And so I found myself curled up in a ball in my kitchen. Just at this point, I was like, I cannot take this anymore. This is too much pressure.
Wow.
I'm not taking any days off. I have no rest. It's just too much on my back.
And tell me about that. Like, what was it? Something that triggered it, or it was nothing? And then you just like walk me through what happened that day.
Yeah, I had never experienced anxiety in my life before until that time. And so for me, over the span of pretty much my day-to-day workflow was I would have to wake up at 4 a.m., work for probably 2 hours before going to work. And then I'd go on lunch break and jam-pack an hour of work inside of my lunch break. And then I'd get out of surgery, let's say 5 o'clock, sometimes later, 6 o'clock, go to the gym, film content from like 6 to 8, get off of the gym, work for another hour to 2 to finish up with my clients. And that was every day. And then Saturdays and Sundays were slammed with client calls. So I was trying to do 2 things at once.
2 full-time things.
2 full-time things at one time. And it was just too much for me. I thought I could be a machine, but eventually you break down. So for me, I was feeling the anxiety. I was feeling the stress come on. And so it was just so much pressure and so much demand. If you think about the demand I was under, having to do surgery, which is a lot of demand, very stressful in itself. And then having to manage, let's say, 50 to 60 people in terms of that I'm training was just too much for me to handle. And eventually I just didn't have the energy for my wife. I didn't have the energy at home. And so my wife's like, you have to make this decision. You can't hold on to both of these things. You're not a machine.
Right. Wow. Wow. And so out of nowhere, this overwhelming feeling of anxiety comes on, and you have like a break.
It was probably about a month and a half, 2 months time frame where it was just building up and me just continuing to mask it. Like, this isn't something I deal with. This isn't something I could push through. You know, you could man up and just get it done, grind, keep going, you know, and I just had this, just don't even worry about it, ignore it sense.
Yeah.
And eventually it just got too much. I was like, man, I just can't handle this anymore.
Yeah.
I have to make a decision.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And so after how long from the moment you have this anxiety attack to when you finally quit, how long is that window?
Yeah, that was probably about a 6-week window.
Hold on. So you have this gnarly anxiety attack. You're broken down, and you still waited 6 weeks?
Yep, I did.
Wow.
I still waited 6 weeks. My plan, I was always waiting for the next thing. So my wife was actually pregnant, so I was like, I'm going to wait until she gives birth, and then it'll be a little easier for me. Because I was scared. I had only been working for like 3 months. I'm like, how am I going to tell these people that I'm going to quit? After I just got hired, you know, then 3 months in, right out of school. Like, you know, for a job like that, that's not something you do. And I'm like, I don't want it to look bad on my resume. I gave them my word for a year. That's what I kept telling my wife. But I told them a year. I'm a man of integrity. I don't want to quit my job. I told them I'd give them at least a year. And she's like, are you going to choose that, or, you know, your family and yourself? Put yourself first. What are you going to put first?
Yeah. Wow. And what role is faith playing in this process?
Yeah. So at this point, I'm like asking the Lord. I'm like, Lord, like, I know you want me to do fitness. But like, I'm scared. I'm scared I'm going to lose that security. I'm scared I'm going to lose that stability. And surprisingly enough, I asking the Lord, like, Lord, just show me, you know, something, give me something that I could go off of. And my wife and I both get COVID. This is the end of 2020. We both get COVID. We both get sick. And I have to be out of work. I'm not able to go to my job. During that week or two that I wasn't working full-time at my job, I think I made my like a 2-month salary in 1 week. With my business. Being able to do it full-time.
You just something just blew up that week. Wow.
Yeah, that week. And I'm like, man, I just made 2 months of paychecks in 1 week, being able to give it full-time, and I was still sick. So that was pretty much all I needed. And just I was able to have that time where I was home. And so it's kind of was one of those weird things. I know we hear a lot of stories about it where COVID ended up being a blessing for me, that I got sick during that time, and I actually had to get a taste of what it would be to be full-time. And that was it for me. I came back right when I got sick. I put in my 2 weeks, and they're like, all right.
Man, what's so fascinating about all of this that you just told is that there's this degree of the things that the scars from your childhood drive you to do one of the hardest things that anyone could do, which is become a doctor. I have quite a few friends that are doctors. It's all the same story. Which is a whole nother conversation of like, why do we drive our arguably one of the most important physicians in society? Why do we drive these people so hard? You know, 60, 70 hours a week. So you do the impossible. Like, you do something that is so difficult. It's almost from this. It's from a darkness almost, right? Like, it's from this, like, I need to control as much as I can control. Yet it's probably some of the same exact attributes: the drive, the hunger, the grind, the focus, the intensity that empowered you to be both creative and entrepreneurial, that empowered you to build this entire TikTok following and Instagram 100%. Following. That led you to where you're at now. So it just reminds me of that, you know, that verse in Romans, right? Like, all things work for good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. Like, all of these things that were probably uncomfortable to go through, somehow God's kind of worked them out to this like incredible season you're in now. Yeah, absolutely. And like, a lot of the times when I tell people that I'm $250,000 in debt, something that I don't use, you know, they're very surprised, and they're like, oh man, like that's terrible, that sucks. And I'm like, I know that the Lord brought me to that place for a reason. And it's the same skills and work ethic that I developed going through that journey and process that I believe has helped me become so successful, that has helped me be on one of the, you know, the top 1% of trainers in the world, is because I was able to go through that process. I know what it's like to work long hours. I know what it's like to
solve problems and be under high stress.
Right.
Hey, this clip is from our daily after party stream. If you enjoyed it, consider signing up for our Patreon community for only $5 a month, where you get access to the replays of our daily after party streams, as well as the uncut extended versions of our podcast, Discord access that's private, and a discount code for our merch store, only $5 a month. And ultimately, it's the best way to help us contextualize the gospel of Jesus using media, podcasting, and of course, YouTube. The link for that is in the description or in the pinned comment. The perks are amazing. You should get on there. It's only $5 a month. I'll see you over there, all right? Peace.